I'm really excited to talk to Pimmi Pande today. Pimmi, tell us about yourself and what you do.
Hello. Yeah, it's lovely to be here. Thank you, Steffi. So, about me, I will try and keep this short. Um, I'm actually, I help people at the moment in getting past their limiting beliefs, like a lot of coaches do. But I consider myself more of a life transformationalist, if you like, because what I'm helping people do is really think about their life choices very differently, or to consider that they actually have life choices that they don't really notice usually. And I work with a specific group of women, of minority women, but my journey here is quite different because I actually came from filmmaking, to be honest.
Pimmi, so tell us a bit more about that journey that took you to the place that you are today. I know
Ah.
you have made documentaries as well. You are very your proudest moment was interviewing the Dalai Lama. Tell us about your journey.
Indeed. Um, I grew up in London, but my family, my heritage is Indian. Uh, my father is based in India. So at some point in my career, I decided to join him there, learn the ropes of filmmaking. But I soon found that I was really interested in documenting people's stories. And so that took me into journalism and documentary making, and I got quite involved in the Tibetan issue actually. So that's what led me towards studying the Tibetan issue and meeting the Dalai Lama, which is I don't think I have an experience that really tops that. But it's definitely a highlight. Yeah, it's definitely a highlight. So my journey took me that way. I continued writing. I've always been a writer. But then I started working specifically in London with young people who wanted to explore their creativity, express themselves more boldly. And that, if you like, was the seed of the work that I do today, because I was working in East London among a lot of minority individuals, people with less opportunities, helping them with filmmaking and documentary. So that, in a nutshell, is my journey. When I was working in filmmaking as such, alongside my father, I had great exposure to performers as well. So I put together a lot of experiences with performers, speaking skills, projecting, being able to understand an audience, reading body language. I put together a lot of these kind of skills into exercises that I still use to this day. But my passion, if you like, was really in empowering women who don't notice the opportunities they have to be able to get out there and do something bigger with their lives.
Which is super inspiring, Pimmi. So, what would you say is your main motivator?
My main motivator, I mean, a lot of the work that I do is inspired by the people around me whose work I have long admired. People I've had the privilege of interviewing, people who are using their voices and their presence in bold ways to express a message that I think can better the world. But also, I've come on this journey through a lot of, my own ups and downs, and I understand how some people can feel quite disempowered. And I think largely because having grown up as a minority in the UK, I had those kind of experiences in the time that when I was growing up, which actually was, in the late 70s, 80s, quite a drastic time compared to now, although of course there's a lot of room for improvement. But yes, there were a lot of roadblocks in my way, so I had to overcome those. So it's all really come together in this very clear purpose.
Pimmi, what would you say are your top qualities in what you do now, empowering women minorities to step into their power?
Mm. I'm very fascinated by people, full stop, anyway, and what makes them function, how they think, how their thinking itself can change their lives in the course of their life experience. So I think these are great motivators for me, and they largely inform the work that I do and how I do it. What positions me in a good place to be able to do this work in the way that I do is that I try to always look for the human in the person as well. I'm not really interested so much in, whilst I help people become successful, get visible, create a platform for themselves, own their voices, and largely put themselves out there and create a bigger existence. At the same time, you know, while they go on to great successes, I've helped people double and triple their salaries, all wonderful, all great stuff, but I'm less interested in that, in that material gain in a lot of ways. I really feel like it's my role to help people achieve fulfillment, peace, self-acceptance, and these wonderful, necessary things that get swept under the carpet.
I completely agree, Pimmi. Yeah, thank you for telling us that. Pimmi, what are you most proud of?
I think I'm most proud of having probably turned my life around. You know, it was really very different for me growing up. I grew up in a single parent family. We didn't have much at all. It was a struggle, but it was really good grounding for where I am today. I'm really happy that I've been able to turn that around, but not for the obvious reasons, but just because it created in me this drive, and it fostered this resilience and persistence, and I get to pass that on. So I'm most proud of that. And obviously that's also dotted by the beautiful experiences I've had along my life journey, meeting incredibly fascinating people, being able to document their stories, talk to them, and to share them with other people, whether in the written word or, yeah, on film.
Yeah, beautiful. Pimmi, and what tips would you give a younger girl that feels disempowered?
So one of the biggest things, I think that's just such an important question for us all to ask. And I feel very strongly it's my role, and I feel it's everybody's really, to be able to understand what you have in your hands, to be able to turn around and pass that on to somebody else, or turn around and lift somebody else up. So what I would say to another younger person, a young girl, striving or wishing she could, is to try to understand what it is inside her that is of value to the world by first recognizing it herself. Self-acceptance, self-acknowledgement is for me so crucial. I think in schools, all of us, we need to be empowering young people to be able to recognize what qualities they have to share with the world, not always to be looking outside of themselves for that validation, which I think it is really, there's too much attention on, and to be just accepting who they are, and then finding a positive outlet to share their voice. Everybody has something to share. Everybody has value. And at some point, everybody asks that fundamental question, why am I here? What have I got to share? Who cares about me? But I think if we just turn the mirror back on ourselves, we can discover so much. And that's what I would really like to impart to young people, help them self-acknowledge and accept who they are.
Thank you so much for that, Pimmi. And so tell us what is in store for you. What are your plans, your goals, your dreams for your future?
So I have different kind of goals, sort of staged goals, but we often say in filmmaking, once a filmmaker, always a filmmaker. So that's something that I look forward to returning to, or combining with my current career. I'm about to also start my own program, if you like, not program, but also be interviewing a number of women as well, minority women. That's called Unbossed. It's inspired by Shirley Chisholm's brilliant seminal biography, Unbought and Unbossed. And this is something that it's not necessarily about women who have in their big shoulder pads and, gone out there and fought their way through and reached CEO status. Is not about that, but it is a platform for people to tell their stories that do empower others. So that's something that's coming up. And also I am about to launch something with my father in the UK, an organisation that's really all about artists, performers, mind sciences, and bringing it all together in one place where people can interact, exchange ideas, inspire others, promote themselves. And so that's something we're looking to get going in the next year. Of course, my dad is in his 80s now, so it's really it's really something that I'm looking forward to spearheading myself, but definitely with his guidance. He's super at what he does. He's a filmmaker himself. And writing, I love writing, so I really hope to eventually write that book that I've long been talking about. So yeah, there are a number of things that are coming up.
Sounds amazing, Pimmi. All the best of luck for that.
Yeah.
That's very, very, very inspiring.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, Steffi.